Digital artist Mike Winkelmann, also known as Beeple, made history a few months ago when his NFT got sold for $69 million. That put him as one of the highest paid living artists instantly. For those who are not familiar, an NFT translates to a non-fungible token. They are collectible cryptographic assets that are represented by code recorded on the blockchain. They could be in the form of a JPEG image or a video clip. Just like Bitcoins, NFTs contain ownership details for identification and transfers between the token owners. But unlike Bitcoin, each NFT asset is one of a kind and cannot be replicated. One Bitcoin will always be equal in value to another Bitcoin, but every NFT is unique and different. Overall, the NFT market is just like the art market, but this time we're moving it to a digital space. NFTs have been around since 2017, but they didn't catch the media's attention until Beeple's piece got sold for an astronomical amount in 2021. Thanks to the people's optimism about cryptocurrencies, NFTs are finally getting the attention they deserve. But are NFTs really worth the hype that people give them? And how will they change the art investing world? Since NFTs are so new, a good place to understand this market is through the traditional art market. Unless you've been living under a rock, you'd probably know that art is an expensive investment. In 2019, a rabbit sculpture by Jeff Koons was sold for $91 million. In 2017, a long-lost Jesus painting by Leonardo da Vinci was sold for $450 million. These examples were just the tip of the iceberg. Transactions in the millions are happening every day in the art market. Unfortunately, art being so expensive isn't a true reflection of the artist's talent. Rather, it's a product of a market failure. One of the major features of art investing is information asymmetry between seller and buyer. That's a fancy way of saying the sellers tend to know more than the buyers. To understand how information asymmetry works, we can use the lemon theory. In 1970, Nobel-winning economist George Akerlof proposed the lemon theory to explain the used car market. As buyers, we never truly know if the used car that we're buying is a good car or a bad car with defects, or so-called lemon. But of course, the sellers know. Therefore, we're never going to pay the full price knowing that there's a chance we might end up with a lemon. On the other hand, the sellers would never sell a good car for less than what it's worth. So in this dynamic, buyers will tend to overpay for their lemon cars, and good cars will never get sold in the market. Due to this information asymmetry, the used car market ends up not being efficient, resulting in a market failure. In some ways, the traditional art market is similar to the used car market. In fact, art investing is notoriously known for its secrecy. The sellers have more precise knowledge about the work of art and its estimated value than the buyers. A lot of times, galleries and auction houses withhold information so that they can achieve the highest profits possible. In auction catalogs, for example, they would not publish all the necessary information. They don't disclose the reserve price so that they can protect the owner of the art piece. This kind of secrecy creates a sense of prestige and an elitist culture within the art community. Last year, Prince Charles had reportedly displayed fake artworks of Picasso and Monet in his Dumfries house without even knowing it. Seems like even the royals aren't immune to the secrecy culture in the art community. If people collectively decide to move away from the secrecy culture, the fact that art is so abstract doesn't help with the transparency either. In a stocks market, there's tons of information available for you to make a wise decision. You can keep an eye on the Dow Jones every day. You can calculate your return with real numbers. There are tons of tangible data available. But with art, we don't have the same price mechanisms to determine the value. Art pieces don't bring in dividends like companies do. They don't generate cash flow that we can evaluate. Plus, part of art investing comes from aesthetic value, which cannot be measured numerically or objectively. The lack of transparency and the absence of traditional metrics create the perfect environment for a market failure. This allows the auction houses and dealers to give themselves an unfair advantage to sustain the level of profits that they want. Other than lacking transparency, the other reason why art investment is expensive is because, well, art itself is an expensive affair. It costs money and human power to transport the art pieces. Some paintings require special storage with climate-controlled interiors and a team of management staff trained to care for the collections. Because of how valuable the pieces are, insurance cost in art investing is much higher when compared to other ordinary investing options. And, of course, art pieces aren't as liquid as cash. They require a liquidity premium to offset the risk. All these extra costs and risks are what make art so expensive. But with the introduction of NFTs, the traditional art market might no longer be the same. One of the features of NFTs is that they exist on a blockchain, which is a digital public ledger. Artists who would like to sell their piece as NFTs are required to sign up with a marketplace. When an NFT is purchased, a public entry is made on the ledger and clearly establishes the ownership of the NFT. With this new layer of traceability and transparency, it encourages artists in the community to discuss finances and be open about pricing with each other. This will help with the breakdown of the secrecy culture and prevent galleries and auction houses from manipulating the market to create bubbles. Unlike tangible art pieces, NFTs are digitalized. There is no longer a need to worry about paying for transportation or maintenance. Instead of putting it in a climate-controlled storage unit, you can just store the NFT in a digital wallet. But if you'd like to show it off to your friends, digital art can be displayed on a monitor or uploaded to a digital picture frame. Or better yet, online galleries and social media platforms are great alternatives, which are also cheaper than physical galleries. Overall, the cost of maintaining NFTs is much lower than physical art pieces, and this might affect how we appraise art in the future. But above all, the most important advantage that NFTs offer is that it levels the playing field. The NFT market allows different creators and artists to sell their art and enjoy being a part of the community. You don't have to be a famous painter or a sculptor to get recognized. Artists from various backgrounds and genres can come together to share art with one another. With more artists coming into the market and sharing the pie, the art market will no longer be monopolized by the few on the top. All in all, NFTs are an exciting development for art, technology, and investing. It'll be interesting to see how they will continue to shock the art market and be a new force in the art investing world.